All right, here we go. Welcome to this edition of the Baseball Forward Podcast, a movement committed to passing the beautiful game of baseball on to the next generation of ball players and coaches. I'm your host, Ross Hawley, and I want to thank you for spending some time with us, wherever you might be watching or listening from. For exclusive video clips and outtakes of this and all the other episodes of the Baseball Forward Podcast, go like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and other socials at baseball_forward or at Ross Hawley 39. And for more information on joining the Baseball Forward movement, visit our site at baseballforward.com. Today's guest conversation is with the head baseball coach of the Colorado Mesa University Mavericks in Grand Junction, Colorado. He's a three-time National Coach of the Year. National Coach of the Year. This is Mr. Chris Hanks on episode 109 of the Baseball Forward Podcast. Coach Hanks, welcome to Baseball Forward, my friend.
Pleasure to be here, Ross. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's good to see your smiling face. I feel like I've seen you. I got to see you 2 or 3 weeks ago up in the Z-Plex in Melissa, Texas. I see Coach out recruiting all you young buckaroos out there wanting to play college baseball. I'm curious. Initially starting, and I want to get more into the intro, but I'm curious. Like this time of the year right now, do you ever get to rest?
Yeah, not really. It's it's obviously nonstop recruiting. You never, recruiting is like shaving. You got to do it every day. Or you look like a bum, right?
Wow, that is probably the best quote I have ever heard in recruiting. And you know what? It makes sense that it comes from you. I want to say this because when I introduce you to the audience, the Baseball Forward audience, guys, I want you to understand who we're dealing with here. And when I say Coach Hanks at Colorado Mesa University, that you might not know who he is, but I'm gonna say this very clearly. You need to know who he is if you don't know who he is. I wanna blow him up here, and he's humble. He'll never talk about this stuff, so I'm gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna read something. 1,164 career wins. That's a 728 win percentage. 21 Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference championships, 43 Major League Baseball signings, 15 times Coach of the Year, 3 times National Coach of the Year. So as we're kicking this episode 109 of the Baseball Forward Podcast, I want the audience to perk up and listen, because these are one of those moments where we're dealing with an elite coach in this episode, guys, and the stuff that we're going to talk about today is, I think the word that comes to my mind, Coach, is I am just shocked at how sustainable you have made the success at Colorado Mesa. So I want to say, tip of the cap. I'm so happy to have you on there. Let's start with this question. Yeah, you said that recruiting comment was fantastic.
Well, I got to give a little bit of credit to my assistant coach, Sean McKinney, too, because I might have heard that from him first. He heard it from somebody, probably connected with the University of Wyoming would be my guess, because that's where he's from. But nonetheless, it really speaks some truth, doesn't it?
Man, it's so true. It's so true. And hey, I will say this, Sean McKinney, shout out to Sean McKinney. In my opinion, he is one of the best in the business. And I think what we're dealing with as we dive into this, the sustainability. Colorado Mesa baseball is an absolute power. You're not going to say that. I'm going to say it is an absolute power. You guys are a giant in the world of college baseball, and you've been a giant for a long time. We're in 2026 right now, Coach. I remember hearing about these guys late 90s, early 2000s. Like we've got some track record. I want you to tell the audience, how long have you been at Colorado Mesa right now?
I'm beginning my 34th year.
Holy cow! And Coach McKinney, who is your associate head coach, recruiting coordinator, he's been there. And who else? I'm missing someone. But
Jeff, Coach McKinney's been there, I think, 18. He's either going on 18 or 19. I'd have to do the math. He played for me. And then Jeff Rogers, our pitching coach, has been here the duration. He and I basically arrived at the same time. Colorado State University dropped baseball. He was the pitching coach there. He came over to Grand Junction at the time when I was getting released from minor league baseball. And I came back to finish my degree, and we both helped out. And then, as circumstances would have it, we both got involved full time. And then another coach, Steve Wojtek, played for me my first team in 1999. He's an excellent recruiter as well. And then most recently, we have Mark Vig came over to us from Metro State in Denver. He's really the only outside of the network or program or alumni or a person that played that didn't play here. He's the first coach I've had that didn't play here. And so we've had great consistency. A big shout out and tip to my coaching staff, because when you have that consistency, the messaging becomes consistent. The players know what to expect. The message is the same, and that just lends itself to stability or sustainability as well. So it's obviously a team effort, and there's a lot of synergy amongst us as a staff. Guys really work together. We're good friends. And I have a bunch of guys that are self-starters and really hungry.
Yeah, I in the world of college athletics, in today's climate, in the landscape, and I don't want to bang on it because things change and times change, but I'm from a generation and era where old school baseball, do things the right way. And I'm not saying that the new school doesn't do it that way, but it's not normal. Just put this, it's an aberration. It's an anomaly that a coach is at an institution that long. And I've always wondered, because, and I'll touch on this because we go back further than we even knew. But it's abnormal that a coach is, or a coaching staff is at a program for that long. And I've always wondered, why, Coach? Why have you been in Grand Junction, Colorado? Most coaches are always, what's next, what's next, what's next? How has this become what it's become?
Yeah, with full transparency, when I started here, I started as an assistant baseball coach. I had a football background. The job, it was a newly created position here. At that time, we were called Mesa State.
Yep.
My dad was my high school football coach. I knew I wanted to coach from the time I was in high school. I didn't know which sport. This opportunity came, and I actually put it in an envelope when I took the job here my first year. My goal was to be a head coach in the old Pac-10 conference by the time I was 40 in one of the two sports, but I didn't even know which one. Wow. And the baseball job here opened up first. I did have a plan to hop around every few years. I wanted to build a network and climb the ladder and do all those sorts of things. But then, as we got going and we started building, you meet a girl, you buy a house, you get a dog. and you see the progress that's taking place, and you say to yourself, let's go just a little longer. Let's build this a little more. And then you get involved with, as you mentioned earlier, such great people in coaching, my assistant coaches, and, it becomes a family, and it becomes something that's very stable, something that you're eager to build. And then, those guys staying together with us has been the difference.
I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to say hello to Paul and Trudy Lopez out in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I think they're still in Colorado Springs. Yeah, but it's our mutual connection, and I don't want to get hot and heavy in it because I'll probably start crying. But Coach Hanks coached one of my buddies growing up that I played on. Good family friend Tony Lopez, who was killed in a car accident back in 2001. And Coach Hanks, you were such a man, you still are such a vital role. It's crazy to me to think that me and my family, how close we are with the Lopezes, and Tony has been gone now for 25 years, but to know you're just as close with the Lopezes as we are. And I just, that to me, the way you have handled that family and the love and the family you have become, that to me is so special that parents and family members can rely on a college coach. That's just not normal. Give me kind of a summary of what on Tony Lopez and the Lopezes just in general.
Well, yeah, Tony was an amazing young man, and unfortunately we lost him. After the 2001 season, we should have been in the NCAA tournament. I feel like that's one of the few years we were left out. And, had we been in it, we would have been playing the weekend after the season when we lost Tony to a car accident. We would have been together as a team playing, but through that, I became very close with Paul and Trudy. And, as it turned out, my son had just been born. They asked me to speak at Tony's funeral. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And I think I had told you the service was videotaped. I've never been able to watch it. I have it. But through that, my son Jared became Paul and Trudy's godson.
That's
and
so cool.
we maintain contact with them. We have a Tony Lopez scholarship that I award to a pitcher in our program, a player that displays Tony's characteristics. And, that's been going on for quite some time now.
Wow. Tip of the cap to that, man. Coach Hanks, what a the word that comes to mind is family, and it means so much more. And that's, I think, as we progress into this conversation, I think it's important in the world of athletics, what you're trying to accomplish in athletics. Like, why do I play baseball? Why do I play football? Whatever the sport is. And it's for reasons like this. It's for reasons that help you with your identity, your confidence, your family structure, your support, your discipline. The sustainability that you guys have had at Colorado Mesa. If I said, Coach Hanks, are there adjectives? Are there words? Are there themes? Are there principles that you take that just mesh into the program, into your life? What comes to your mind when I say, man, what is this program built on?
It's built on trust, and it's built on authenticity. Everybody having the freedom to be who they are. We speak to the fact that everybody's superpower is being authentically themselves, because that's something unique to you. We embrace it, we encourage it, and guys need to understand, the players, the coaches, that who they are is enough, and that everything they need is already inside of them. Everything in all of us, and what they need to do is pull that out, be courageous enough to express it, to attack it, and the disciplines involved with succeeding in any avenue they want to pursue, whether that's baseball or whether they're playing ball. And we have a young man, Rocco DiFrancesco, who from the beginning wanted to be a firefighter like his dad. And he played 5 years with us. He waited till his 5th year to be the starting catcher this past season.
Wow.
He graduated, and he just got hired by fire department. And, so I feel like our job is obviously to prepare them as baseball players, but as people, but we want to prepare them to be excellent and the very best at whatever they choose to do in business and in sports. And most of them, quite honestly, that old NCAA commercial, most everybody's going to go professional in something other than in sports. I mean, that's really a great quote, and it's very true. We all know that. So the pride that we take in seeing the success that those kids have as they move on, and really everything we do to try to be sustainable, it all centers around team. We have a concept, 2 very simple concepts that we try to achieve every time out. And we want to out-compete and out-team our opponents. And we have a definition that answers the question of what that looks like, acts like, and feels like. And so every year we have adjectives that describe that, but every team has the option every year, as we discuss this and build it from the beginning of the fall, of what that means to them and each team. So some of those, they're moved in order of importance, and it changes. The bulk of it stays the same, but each team moves something above and below in terms of, I don't know if you'd call them rules, to being a great teammate, rules to how we out-team somebody. And that's assuming out-teaming that going into any situation, we have to assume possibly that whoever we're playing is more talented, more gifted. They have better pitching, they have better hitting. And if that were the case, then what's the avenue to win? There's got to be a way to win if that's the case. And there's some real power in that, and seeing those guys, their juices flow. And then in terms of an individual, we have the same definition of what it means to outcompete. And so that one can change from guy to guy. So we do the goal setting. We find out what their burn is, their deepest goal, what gets them up in the morning. And some of them need help with that. And I don't think intuitively everybody knows necessarily what that is if I ask them immediately, but we can help them get to the point where we find what's your purpose, what's your why, as people say, but what gets you up, what ignites you to get up in the morning, go exercise, work out, do your homework, take those extra swings, do the extra running. What is that? And so we try to take whatever that thing is and reverse engineer it backwards and find out what the pieces are along the way that'll help them achieve that. So we look at that on a team sense, but then build that into a team concept. But I tell you, the most powerful thing for sustainability and consistency within a team sport is simply the team. And so it's a living organism.
Wow.
And there's good days and bad days, but how do you handle those? What things we can control? I could go on all day on this. It's my passion. It's my love. And building that is truly, and it's not perfect. All right. It's not perfect, but it's excellence. And excellence means doing the best you can every day, all the time. And then learning how to accept and adjust or reframe when things don't go right. Because that's one of the biggest skills is how do you handle and bounce back from disappointment? And it's hard for all of us. I mean, I work on it all the time. I'm not perfect. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at it every day, but I'm not perfect. So there's room for mistakes.
Yeah.
And so the simplicity, I think what most people fail to realize is I really believe that when you talk about the Tom Brady's of the world, the Tony Gwynn's of the world, the Michael Jordans of the world, those are the elite of the elite. But when you really study and boil down to how they achieve what they achieve, of course, there's some talent, but there's more to it than that. And it's a process they've developed, and they've gotten down to simple. So simple is the key. And as we're talking about baseball, I think the biggest mistake hitting instructors, pitching instructors, coaches, managers, that we all tend to make is in an effort to be the smartest guy in the room, we make things too complex. You hear Tom Brady talk about his system of throwing and footwork. I mean, he's whittled it down to the most simple, repeatable actions that he can achieve. But that's true of any high-level sport. And I think leaders in any area, whether it be business or athletics, have done largely the same thing. You got to find the simple, repeatable things that work, and then perfect those things.
Whew, boy. Coach, on my mind, this is what I wanted to, like, I've been waiting for this for the last few weeks that you and I have been talking and getting to know each other. Like, I know that there's something different, and it's coming out. And I'm like, that's why. You said something, I love the idea of simple, but you said something about getting to know what makes the guys get up in the morning and getting to know them. So help them discover that so that they can be essentially what I gather is their best self to be a part of the best part of like the team. And the word that comes to my mind is relationships. Like, I feel like relationships, I would start it and say, why is he so good at coaching? Oh my gosh, I think he actually cares about these people. When I say relationships, what does that mean to you?
It means getting to know somebody, and it means to getting down to knowing what makes them tick. You got to know, like, I like to know, this is sort of a simple, corny thing, but I like to know what their favorite dugout snack is. Your one go-to, and I would pose that to you, Ross. We're in the dugout, it's hot, you're not in the lineup, or you're or you've been pulled, you've been yanked, whatever it is, or maybe it's just your day off. Maybe you're in the minor leagues. It's August. You're tired. You're not in the lineup. What are you sticking in your bag, your back pocket to help pass the time as you wait for that manager to point his bony finger to you and say, loosen up? What's that one go-to snack?
Snickers, or coach, if I'm allowed to go to the a Snickers bar, or if I'm allowed to go to because my favorite snack, ballpark nachos with jalapenos and a fountain Coke. So you take that and go with it. Tell me what you got on that.
Oh boy. Well, we're going to have to have a discussion about whether in the sixth inning I'm going to let you go to the concession stand in full uniform. But there might be some strength and authenticity to that too. One time,
wow,
that brings me, I don't know what year it was. I want to say I'd have to go back to 2012, but we were hosting the conference tournament. We won the regular season league. We lost the opening game of a 6-team double elimination tournament at home. And, how do you bounce back from that? Well, one thing that I think is really important, this is hard for any coach. It's been hard for me. I've learned, I've gotten better, but guys have to be able to play free and easy without thought. By that time in the year, you've had the reps, right? Your body knows how to swing the bat, throw the ball, field the ball, whatever it is. We get in the way when we think about it too much.
That's right.
We think about mechanics, we worry. So I just told the guys, I said, hey, you know what? We felt we were probably in the NCAA tournament, but we weren't sure. We probably still needed to win the tournament to slam dunk it. So we told them, hey, and in Grand Junction where Simplesio Field is, you can literally walk across the street and a half block down and there's a McDonald's on the corner. And I painted this picture for them in the clubhouse when they were a kid and they were 10 years old. And after the game on the sunny, hot June afternoon, you got on the yellow school bus and the coach pulled off at a McDonald's or a Tasty Freeze or one of those, and you went in and you got ice cream. Right? Now, that was as pure as it gets, at least to me.
Yeah, I love it.
That when I was a kid. And I can't remember whether we had won or lost, but, man, after the game, coach is going to take us for ice cream. And
wow.
So I told the guys, you come back and win this, and we're going to Little League it. We will leave the field.
Wow.
We will walk in uniform across North Avenue and down the boulevard in our spikes. You're not changing your shoes. And we'll let the people at McDonald's hear the clickety-clack of the spikes walking in on the tile. And we're all going to order a vanilla large ice cream cone. That soft serve.
Yes, I do.
The biggest possible derailer to this plan was whether or not their ice cream machine would be broken.
Sorry, we're not serving ice cream today.
but as it turned out, so we come through and we win. And the guys are jumping around.
Oh,
they just start yelling, ice cream, ice cream.
Wow.
And so, we did the interviews with the TV stations and the newspaper and the radio, and we got together. And we walked as a team in full uniform. We stopped traffic. We crossed 4 lanes of traffic, walked down, and we ordered, and I paid the bill, and we sat in McDonald's and ate those ice cream cones. It was probably the best post-game celebration in my coaching career.
Oh my gosh, that is a legendary story. And how many times that story has been retold? It's gonna rival the greatest story ever told by the Grateful Dead. I'm gonna say this. That is unbelievable to me. Because Coach, you're a storyteller. Literally, what you were just telling. I'm picturing. Right when you said McDonald's, I was thinking, ooh, like a hot fudge sundae, the vanilla, the soft serve, and then I'm hearing the shoe, the cleats on the pavement. That is beautiful. Hey, I'm talking with Chris Hanks, head baseball coach at Colorado Mesa on episode 109 of the Baseball Forward podcast. That is a beautiful story, and it started again. This stuff, it's an honor to me. As I get to grow and learn you more as a friend, because I like to connect dots. And it's been fun connecting dots. I'm like, okay, that's why. I want to go back to this. Wow, I really like that you talked about getting to know the individuals, and then out team and out compete. I'm curious, how did you? Because you at this point you understand you want it to be simple. How did you come to that conclusion that out team and out compete was your method? Like, how did that fall in your lap and say, I think this is the way I need to do this?
Yeah, well, I can articulate that a little bit, and it wasn't from the beginning.
Okay.
It was an accumulation of highs and lows, the disappointments where you had the more talented team, but we lost. That happened, right? Especially more early in my career as a head coach, and asking the question, why did that happen? I've always paid attention for the longest time. I mean, and I want to go back to high school. I've always been very interested in what wins and what doesn't win. What wins and what doesn't. And as you go along, you learn those lessons about what you did wrong as a coach, the messaging that wasn't correct, where your focus was. We had one year where this goes clear back to 2003. To this day, I still think possibly might have been one of the most talented teams we ever had, but we went 27-26, and it was an absolutely miserable year.
Wow.
And at the end of the year, my thought was, we can never let this happen again. So it was really after that year going into 2004 that I really took a deep dive in. We got to find some things that make a difference. And it begins with fundamentals. It becomes with not just fielding, hitting, and pitching and base running, but it comes down to the fundamentals of how we interact as a team. What are the fundamentals of being a great teammate? And how do you get guys to buy into that? And how do you get the kid to buy into it that either knows he's not going to play every day or doesn't play every day but thinks he should? That's the biggest one you have to overcome. So then it goes to, and this is still being built. It's gotten better. We've refined it. And me and my coaches, it's not just me, because the coaches, we all speak the same language and they're all bought in. But it really boils down to, in that scenario, the kid who thinks he should be playing but isn't, so he's the backup. He probably has a mom and dad that think he should be playing. So there has to be regular connection with the kid. There has to be regular conversation. There has to be regular coaching. You have to show the same intent and love and care and attention to him, working with him on his swing or him on his pitching or the fielding. You have to have the conversations about where he stands. And you got to know going in that there's probably going to be some disagreement. But at some point, what that does is it gives the power to the person, that you've told them where they stand. You've told them where they fit. You've probably articulated what the possibility is, but this is where they are today. And then it's how do we get you to where you want to go? But then they have the power. And I say this to them, you now have the power to process that how you choose. It's completely up to you.
Wow.
It's self-determining. You determine that. You control what you say, what you do, how you act, how you feel. Those are all controllables. And we have a chance then, because they know you care. Now, I will tell you, I made some big mistakes on this early on, big mistakes, where a kid shows some resistance. He's unhappy, and you know that as a coach.
Yep.
And then that can repel you as a coach, and to where you say, well, you know what, the hell with him.
Right.
The heck with him.
Yep.
And you pull away. And that's a time, I'd argue, where you have to draw closer. You have to engage them. And I wouldn't say it turns out perfect every time, but it's survivable. You can survive it. And the most rewarding thing to me as a coach is when you get down the road and with those kids, when they exit a program and they're not happy, they didn't play as much as they wanted, they didn't get the attention or the opportunity they felt like they deserved. If you have cared and loved on to that extent, which I haven't always done, I've made a huge shift just in the last 10 to 12 years, and I continue to improve it. There's a 4 to 7 year window I've determined. Those kids that if they leave really twisted funny, there's about a 4 to 7 year window where I'll be sitting in the office and I get an email, or I get a text, or I get a phone call, or they stop by, and man, they sit down, they're in now, they're in their career, they realize how special that time was, and most often they have some regret about how they handled the situation. They're grateful that you didn't kick them to the curb. And there's been numerous times where I've had coaching staff where people say, hey, get rid of them, man. They're a cancer. We've all said that, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, I think there's an opportunity for us to cure that. The answer isn't pulling away and repelling. The answer is digging deeper, going deeper, showing more love and care and interest in those people. And if you can do that, you got a shot.
Wow. I'm going to say this, and I got ripped for saying it on a podcast. Somebody told me that this was a religious podcast on one of the reviews, and I don't care. I am a saved man. Jesus Christ is my Savior. And when I hear you saying that, I hear you preaching the fruits of the Spirit. And I imagine what Jesus Christ would look like. Seriously, right in that moment, what would Jesus Christ look like as a baseball coach? And I say that of, hey, when a player gives you resistance, I've been there before. Oh, yeah. You nailed it. It is like, screw them. And you're saying, nah, let's get closer. That's the comparison. Love versus everything else. Is that accurate?
Well, yeah. And I would say, I've gone through a journey in this, and I came out of a old school football coach's mentality. Hey, my dad was an excellent football coach. He was my high school football coach. If we lost a game, there would not be any conversation in our house for the entire week. And I'm not embellishing that. I mean, and I'm saying between me and him, it was the silent treatment.
Yep.
I remember standing under a shower in a locker room after a loss 7-6, where I threw an interception on the goal line, and I had been given explicit instructions right before that by my dad. We're going to run 06 sprint out. We were on the 5-yard line. If nobody's open, run it. If you don't get in, we have a timeout, and we had a good kicker. We basically kick an extra point and we're out of here. So we run 06 sprint out to the right, and I try to fit a ball in a tight window. It's intercepted in the end zone. We lose 7-6. So now I'm in the shower, and I say to myself, I was a sophomore in high school, I will never lose another high school football game.
Wow.
And I only lost one from that point forward. And that was out of pure will, and like, I never want to go through this again. And my dad's still alive. He's 89. He's our biggest fan. But what I'm articulating, and it's not his fault, he came out of the old football school. That's what I grew up with.
That's right.
I love you wasn't tossed around the house all the time, right?
Yep.
It was get tough, suck it up, and go. And, to this day, I tell people, in my file of important things, I have my dad's coaching manual from a clinic from the Woody Hayes football coaching clinic in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
I have that thing. It's almost pristine, and it's the manual from the clinic of all Woody Hayes teaching. So anybody who knows old football and Woody Hayes, I mean, now back in those days, coaching was different. There wasn't love, man. It was kick him in the butt. It was all those things. So the point I'm trying to make is that's been a real journey for me, because early on, my messaging to players during tough times was suck it up and go, get tough. Uh, you know, and I love my dad. He was an excellent coach. He won a bunch of games. And I learned a lot from him also about the importance of developing fundamentals and staying true to what you do best. Figure out your strengths, accentuate them. You always work on your weaknesses, but you come up with some non-negotiables and you get great at those things. He always had a saying, we're going to run 36 power at any point in the time, and we'll scream from the line of scrimmage, this is where we're coming, and we will be so good at running it, they won't be able to stop us. It's a battle of wills. And so those things I use in coaching, but in terms of dealing with the people, the way I grew up shaped over time, to me, a better way to connect with guys.
And that right there, Coach Hanks, that right there is the quality that I get to sit in and listen to some of the best of the best of the best of the best, you included. Men like you are constantly wanting to grow. You're constantly wanting to learn. You're constantly wanting to evolve and get better. And I beg people that are listening to the Baseball Forward audience is that it astonishes me that the coaches that I get to talk to that are on your echelon, how humble and how hungry they are for knowledge and a better way to do things and a better way to treat people. And it makes total sense. I want to say this. What's your dad's name?
Bill Hanks.
Bill Hanks, you're a stud, sir. And I think it's so cool. I just imagine what his reaction when you decided to throw that ball was. I'm trying to visualize what it looked like on the sideline. I want to talk one more kind of philosophical thing, and then I want to spend about 10 minutes just on baseball stuff in general. I wrote this down as you were talking, and I'm like, man, Coach Hanks, they say, these really, really good coaches, boy, you could be a CEO. You could be a chief executive officer of a $100 million company. I believe that the skills that you have to lead men, alpha men, translates in every area. That's my opinion. So when I say that you could be a CEO and the characteristics that it takes to lead an athletics program would be very, very similar to those that lead an organization worth a lot of money. Expand on that. Do you agree with it? Do you think, have you ever thought about that? In the sense that, man, you always think so long, hey, I'm a baseball coach and I'm a coach and I'm a coach. And I think so many coaches miss on their value to the outside world. You and I were talking one time and I'm like, hey, if Coach Hanks walks into the room, everybody wants to talk to Coach Hanks because it's baseball and he's the head coach of baseball. Everybody wants to talk about the sports, right? That translates into the real world, into the business world. Do you think as you've put your systems together at Colorado Mesa and you've seen the success, you don't talk about your success. I don't even know that you really know about your success, honestly. But do you realize that those are transferable skills and that there's a whole world out there that might be able to benefit from that?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think that when you're what you're describing is leadership, something that I'm passionate about, and as I've mentioned, still every day trying to figure out how to do it better and figuring out what the mistakes were and getting them fixed as quick as possible. I think there's great transfer because you're talking about dealing with people. Mm-hmm. You're talking about connecting with people. You're talking about influencing people. And you're talking about how to get people to follow you. And, there's the old school way of doing that in a very authoritarian way. Mm-hmm. And then there's a way of just showing them the way. And I think that connecting with people, again, it goes back to dealing with players or coaches. and again, nobody's perfect with this, but there are systems on, most people perform best when they have some control over their self-determination, meaning what I've discovered is, with you brought up a business sense, but if I can give an area of responsibility to, somebody that I lead and trust them with it, and then just help them along the way where maybe they make a mistake. But then one thing I've really discovered that's even more powerful than that is if you're in a position to allow them to do something that they really enjoy doing, they'll do even better. So that goes to, the old term of getting people, number one, finding the right people, but then getting the right people in the right seats. There's been a lot of leadership talk on that, but it's really true, and so it's organizing, it's delegating, it's connecting with people, but then also getting those people to connect with one another. And then it still comes down to a purpose or a goal or a vision. And then, you can't, I remember when I first started coaching, I thought it'd be cool to put on a practice plan, a quote of the day. So I did. I realized it had zero effect on anybody. It had no effect. I mean, I don't know how you quantify that. Maybe it resonated with one guy, but it didn't resonate to a team. So what you have to do is get a shared vision of those people, and then you can put your pillars on the wall. But if it's just the leader, the CEO, the owner saying on the wall, boy, here are our pillars, you have to follow them, you're not going to get buy-in. You're going to get a few people that it resonates with. They'll connect with that, but you're not going to get the whole group. You aren't going to do it. I've tried it. I tried it early on. It didn't have an effect. So, but if you're selling those principles, for example, in our world, out team and out compete. So we have a whole bunch of new guys coming in. It's the first thing we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the concept. We're going to, the power is our returning guys teaching it to the new guys. And it's showing them why this is important and how it will improve them, how it'll positively affect them. You have to articulate that. So in a business sense, I would say it would be the same way. You're dealing with a team. If I'm running a cell phone store and I want it to be the best store and have the best sales and have the best attitudes and the best effort, we got to get down and discuss some of those concepts, because those concepts are the same whether you're on a baseball team, a football team, or a sales team.
Good point.
Plain and simple. So yes, I think there's great transferability between those.
I just find it fascinating to dig into the crossover that exists in success. And I think we can learn so much just by watching people that are having, and the sustainability, the sustained success. Talking with Coach Chris Hanks of Colorado Mesa on episode 109 of the Baseball Forward podcast. Coach, about 5-10 more minutes. Hey, I want to ask specific, just with baseball in general. Colorado Mesa is at the NCAA Division II level. To me, you guys are as good as it gets of a college baseball program. Like me, Division I, Division II. I understand the classifications in the separation. But when I think about your program, I think about, oh my gosh, just so pitchers, dirtbags, quality at bats, doing little things the right way. You guys do the things to win games. And I don't think most of the audience understands how good the upper level of NCAA Division II baseball is. And I want you to try to shed some light into that, because to me it always starts with the guy on the mound. If the guy on the mound can get after those guys and we can play some defense behind it, we're gonna have a chance. But I would throw you guys against anybody at the Division I level, and I just would love to see it play out. I understand how good your level is at the NCAA Division II upper level of Division II. Shed some light into that for us.
Yeah, you betcha. Well, I'd say, first of all, there are more good players out there than there are good programs to play in, or programs in general. Okay. So kids come from different backgrounds, different places, different situations, and there are great players everywhere. There are great players at the junior colleges, JUCO Division I, Division II. There's great players. Same with the NCAA, NAIA. They're all over the place. And really, the great equalizer in our sport is the pitcher. You mentioned it. I explained to people that the pitcher, to me, is like the little green squares on the roulette wheel. They're because you go to Las Vegas and I got $100 and I'm going to throw it down on red or black, and people think it's a 50-50 bet. I'm going to double my money. Well, you will double your money, but it's not a 50-50 bet because you have those green squares in there, and that's the pitcher. To your point, you got the right guy on the mound and a solid defense, you can play with anybody. So, I'll give you an example. Right now, we have Kyle Leahy is in the starting rotation with the St. Louis Cardinals. I just saw a thing last night, came across. He's the first pitcher in whenever that's gone 6 starts with only 2 runs given up. I think that was the stat. It's some incredible, in whatever year span that is. But he's really in his second year in the big leagues. We have Andrew Morris working out of the bullpen with the Minnesota Twins. We had Sergio Romo, 14 years, 3 World Series rings, retire a couple of years ago. And we have had countless kids through the minor leagues and still do. And a lot of programs can say that at every level. So it's just, baseball's different. It's not a bigger, stronger, faster sport like football. Tom Brady's great, but without a good offensive line, he's probably not Tom Brady, or a good running game.
Yep.
In baseball, because of the pitcher, that green piece on the roulette wheel, you got a shot, right, against anybody. And then with baseball, we all know that it comes down to some timing and luck, bad hops, bloopers, bad calls that can twist a game all sorts of directions. So, people need to understand there's kids, there's a lot of great places to play. And it doesn't have to be the upper echelon of Division I. It can be a great mid-major. It can be a great Division II. It can be a great JUCO. But what these kids need to understand is to find a great experience, because what you're going to live through your life with is a great experience.
Boy.
That's what you're going to remember.
Boy, that's good.
And you can get to the big leagues no matter where you are. You can be from the smallest town, smallest high school in rural Missouri or Colorado. Now, the path might be a little more difficult. It might be harder to get seen. But in this day and age with social media, and everything we deal with, you got to have love, you got to have passion, you got to be able to achieve at a high level, but you have to be able to process mistakes and deal with failure, or you will be eliminated. That's plain and simple. It doesn't matter where you play, you have to be able to deal with failure.
Boy, that's good. I want to go directly to the parents, because I think that we're in a world of just a ton of information, right? And I hope that with the Baseball Forward podcast that we have an avenue of giving accurate information.
Correct.
So I want you to speak directly to the parents of up and coming I'm just going to say baseball players, youth baseball players, and they have dreams of playing college baseball and hopefully the big leagues. Give some advice to parents out there, Coach Hanks.
Yeah, I would say, I'll tell you what parents need to do. They need to be facilitators. They need to help their son or daughter realize their dreams without getting in the way. Too many of them get in the way. And what I mean by that is get them to the ballpark for the tryout camp. Encourage them. It is help them to the best of your ability get access. If that's getting them a membership at an indoor training facility, do that. Let the people who are qualified to coach hitting, pitching, fielding, let the coach at the high school coach the team. All right. Where they derail their kids is when they get overly involved, and they need to let the kid grow. If they're plowing the road for them and not allowing them to handle the downs, the ups and downs, and the obstacles, if they're trying to plow those out of the way for them, they're stunning their son or daughter's growth. Be a facilitator, and then be the greatest supporter there is. And, these kids will put enough pressure on themselves the parent doesn't need to. That's very hard for parents to do. When a parent lives vicariously through their son or daughter, it adds pressure to the kid. Let the kid have fun. I can tell you our players at the collegiate level play their best when they're just having fun. When in their mind, they're worrying about impressing me, their parents, or a scout in the stands. We call those hidden agendas. And when you have a split focus, you're worried about those things. And it's a real thing. I'll go back to Kyle Leahy, who's in the big leagues with the Cardinals right now and just excelling. I remember an outing he had as a junior at playing Colorado School of Mines. There were probably 15 to 16 major league teams there. And he knew they were going to be there. And on every pitch, you saw the radar guns come up. And he just got shelled. I think he gave up 3 home runs in the first 2 innings. Ooh. It was his worst start. And that's where we took a deep dive with him on, how do you handle that? Because it's going to happen more as the year goes along.
Sure.
And as we went forward, he even got knocked out of our number 1 spot shortly after that. We moved him down to like 2 and 3. He dealt with that failure, and he climbed his way back, and he finished his career with one of his best outings in the NCAA tournament. And then he pitched well at the Division II World Series. But those hidden agendas or those distractions that a parent can cause, the kid may be up there trying. He's worried about what dad's going to say to him in the car if he doesn't do well.
Sure.
And I would argue on the way home, the game's over, man. We're going to get ice cream. We're talking about something else, and we can maybe revisit it next time we go out and play catch.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. The last question I want to ask you. Because boy, you've been in the fire and you've been in a long time, and I hope that a lot of young coaches listen to this. I want you to speak directly to young coaches coming up in the game with aspirations of coaching and making it their career and their living. Give them some advice, Coach.
Yeah, I would tell them to come early, stay late, get off the bucket, don't sit on the bucket, hit ground balls, work with the kids, and connect with them. One thing I've learned in coaching is that you can go into the hitting tunnel with a kid who's struggling, and you can tell him the only adjustment you make, and I've been amazed by this as a coach, is I could take you and say, hey, Ross, let's just do one thing. Let's take your hands from here to here. That's it. And, and they go out and they crush.
Yep.
And it's not because they moved their hand 1 inch down. It's because you spent time with them.
Wow.
And then you get back to the concept of love. And I know that's soft and fuzzy, and I get it. I come out of that hard school football world. I explained that to you. That's not how I was brought up, but that's what I've determined is the best way. Because that kid, and if you don't give them any advice, you just flip balls and encourage them. And I'm not saying blow smoke up their tail end. I'm saying give them constructive encouragement and maybe a little correction. The problem is, kids take correction as criticism.
That's right.
And somehow when you're connecting with them, they have to develop the trust that when you say, Ross, your stance is too wide or too narrow, I'm not criticizing you. And so you got to dig down into these conversations. But again, I would tell a young coach, work with the player. And it's not just hitting the ground balls. It's pulling them in and saying, great job on that backhand. You did it just right. You can say, hey, now, when you come in, come in a step earlier. You're a late, you're a hop late on the read, whatever the correction is. And if you don't know for sure, all it takes is working with them. You don't even have to make them better because you've corrected them. The biggest mistake coaches make one of them, is they want to be the reason the kid is now successful. That's a hidden agenda. That's about me.
Good
it has to be about, you got to get down to where really you want the joy and enjoyment and the satisfaction of impacting that kid. And the impact really can be boiled down to spending time in the cage with them. And it can be 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be 10 hours of work. And it's amazing to me, if we want to get a kid going, what I know works is take him to the cage. If you're struggling, and we need you, Ross, we don't need you to get 4 hits, but we need your mindset better, because when your mindset's better, and it's often connected to hitting, right? And then they take it to the field. I need you as positive and uplifted and excited to play, and we can do that. And when you spend time with somebody, a player in the business world, I'll go back to that. It could be sitting down with, one of your salespeople and saying, I believe in you. I know you can do it. Let's have a conversation. How can I help you? And maybe it's just spending time and lifting them up. I'll just tell you a little story. Last night, my daughter she has a job interview on Wednesday, and my wife says, hey, you need to coach Kylie up. And I said, well, I've never really coached anybody on an interview, but she said, well, you're a coach. I said, okay. So we sit down at the kitchen table, and I start just talking to her the way I've talked to a player.
Wow.
I got a phone call. I had a recruiting call. We had talked for about 30 or 40 minutes. I went in the other room. I had to talk to a player. I came back in, and my wife grabs me, and she goes, hey, Kylie's fired up. She's ready to go. And I'm like, I don't even know. So my point is, that's time spent. You can't get that back. So you spend time, you show interest in those players, show interest in the player, and show interest in the person. And by the way, I'm still working on that. I'm not perfect. I fall short at times, and we can all do better.
Do you ever look back and just say, boy, this is a lot more simple than I thought it was going to be?
Hey, yes. But you know what? I had some early indications that I didn't fully pay attention to. And there's one point in my coaching that was super impactful to this day, and it drives my philosophies. It came from my dad. I don't think he knew he gave me some of the most important advice. I got the head job here at Colorado Mesa. And my dad was a football coach and very successful for a long time. And I said, Dad, what can you give me? Give me one thing. If you could only give me one thing, what would it be? And I was expecting some coaching advice, X's and O's, something of that nature. And without hesitation, he said, make your word be gold. And he goes, if you hold true to your word and make your word be gold, when it's all done, I'd be very proud of you as a coach. And so that's one of our mantras, is make your word be gold. And that means do what you say you're going to do, follow through. And that's impacted me. I'll be the first to admit I'm not perfect. I mess up all the time, but there's a never ending attempt to be somebody who's true to their word. And if ever I get the feeling that maybe I've come up short there, or a player or person feels that way, man, we got to have a conversation. Wow. So that's something I would share.
I love that, because you said relentless. It's an unwavering rage of fire inside you to try to get it right. And this is I'm connecting dots, Coach. All right, Coach Hanks, I'm gonna finish with this episode of the Baseball Forward Podcast, episode 109. I got one slight question for you. What kind of music do you like to listen to, Coach?
I am very versatile there.
Versatile.
Yeah.
All right. Hey. What would your walkout song be right now today?
Slow Ride.
Ooh, a Fog Hat?
Yeah, maybe. Now, you put me on the spot there. I might, without more preparation, that just came to mind. Because I think on some level you got to take it easy on yourself.
Sure.
Which I've had to learn because I'm hard on myself. Slow ride, take
Yep.
it easy.
Take it easy.
That would be one. But I like classic rock would be my go-to. And the players allow me to have classic rock one day a week at the ballpark.
Hey.
We always have one player that is in charge of it because they hook up their phone to the PA system.
The aux cord coach.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Your coach Sean McKinney, I know on his days he's rocking that Metallica stuff and he's just getting after it, isn't he?
He's a headbanger. Yeah. Hey, and listen, he drugged me to a Metallica concert once at the Pepsi Center in Denver, and that still burns on my brain. I couldn't believe. You talk about a guy who loves something.
Yeah.
He loves heavy metal and he loves Metallica deep in his soul.
Hey man, I love music and I love baseball. Coach, give us some encouraging final words, and I'll take us out with the outro.
Yeah, I would just say, man, go out there and make your day better. Put your feet on the floor and be determined to control the things you can. And if you can narrow it down to worrying about those, you're going to have a great day.
Coach Hanks, you're the best. Episode 109 of the Baseball Forward podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Baseball Forward podcast. For exclusive content, offerings, and more information, visit us at baseballforward.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at baseball_forward. I'm your host, Ross Hawley, and I will see you next time.